Welcome. And as people keep coming in, I'll make sure and say hello, but welcome to the 12th, number 12, people, 12.
1 year.
I know, 1 year, online rally for hope and kindness. Little did I know that this would expand into a monthly gathering and expand into an event where people give me the honor, and I'm so humbled to hear their stories, sometimes for the very first time. And it surely does inspire and empower others to own who they are and to give them that little extra courage to say, okay, I'm that way too. And it's okay. And it's cool to be this way. So I am so happy and so proud to be here with you guys. Never know what to expect with these rallies, but always guarantee you inspiration and always guarantee that we have 5 soulful humans. The only prerequisite is to come into these rallies and tell your story is just to be human, just to be yourself. So I appreciate all of our speakers today, and I'll introduce each of them, what I like to call storytellers, before they go ahead and speak. But if this is your first time at the rally, and those of you that have been here already know this, so some logistics and just there's not many rules to this rally except it's an open space for everyone, is as people tell their stories, and each speaker has about 10 minutes to tell their stories, sometimes they go back to certain times in their life, which brings them back certain feelings. And all I want you guys to help me do is help support them through kindness. Like the main theme of this rally is kindness, meaning kindness comes in all shapes and sizes, whether it's by listening, by supporting, by showing. You can do hearts if you feel like you are relating to what the person is saying, if you feel like you got an aha moment from what they're saying, or if you find that they're kind of stumbling or getting emotional or struggling. You can do the old-fashioned heart with your hands, or you can do the little the high-tech heart right here. So I just asked, that's the only thing that I ask you to do. And then after everyone speaks, we'll see if anyone has any other contributions and we'll get to know each other a little bit. How does that sound? Good? Give me a heart if that sounds okay. All right. Wonderful. So we do these every last Saturday of the month, and I'm going to continue to do so. This is a special one because it is 1 year. So again, if this is your first time, this just came to me in a dream. Crazy as it sounds, it came to me in a dream exactly a year ago when all that racial turmoil was taking place with George Floyd and just everything, all those horrific events and all the negativity going on, especially here in the United States. And I felt so helpless. I felt like I really wanted to do something, but I didn't know what, because I kept seeing all this hatred and things in the news and so forth. And I'm like, I want to do something that's positive. And what can I do instead of seeing all these rallies that are negative and focused on hurt? I decided, I woke up one day and say, I'm going to do a rally that's for positivity, that's for justice, that's for being kind to each other and showing that we are here to support each other. So that's the June 27th date came up in my head. It happened to be a Saturday. I got 5 speakers that happened to be, people I knew would say yes. They didn't even know what I was going to do, but they said yes. And they just started to share kindness and share compassion and tell just human stories. And I never in a million years knew it would evolve into this. So I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for the universe putting this thought in my head. And I'm grateful to have heard over 70 people in the past year tell stories that are truly touched others. I mean, the people have pinged me afterwards saying, oh my gosh, where do you find these people? These guys are amazing. So I'm so grateful that you are here. One thing that going on with dreams and things that come into my mind when I'm sleeping, about a month and a half ago, I woke up with another date. The date was May 19th. And I had no idea what May 19th meant. I meant like, oh my gosh, Andrea, here we go again. So May 19th, I decided to go on my calendar, and I still use old-fashioned calendars because I like to write things down. And I put a heart on May 19th. I didn't know what that was going to mean. I didn't know what it stood for, but I knew May 19th, it was something special. So going through my days and going through the month, I thought, okay, May 19th is coming up. It's getting closer. It's a month away. It's a week away. It's 3 days away. Until I woke up, it's May 19th. And I was very nervous for that day. I didn't know what to expect. I went through my day. Nothing special happened, but I noticed that I was more present than ever in that day, taking notice of everything around me, even nature. I would, no kidding, look up at the sky, and I don't know if it's just in my head, but because of the mindset that I was expecting something positive or expecting some sort of love, I saw everything through the lens of love. I don't know if my mind played tricks on me, but I saw clouds shaped in hearts. I kept seeing just images that would resonate that feeling into me. And so the day went by and it ended. And I'm like, you know what? Nothing really special happened on this day. I don't know why. I had this dream of May 19th, and I woke up the following day and I realized, oh my goodness, May 19th was the day of my soulful awakening. After May 19th, I started to love myself more. May 19th was the day that I realized at work that I started, oh my gosh, Andrea, you did that. And that's pretty cool. You're pretty awesome. Oh my gosh, Andrea, you started these rallies. That's took a lot of guts. That's pretty cool. I have never spoken to myself ever like that, ever. So May 19th was the day I started to love myself. That was something I never expected. It just comes to show you that when you are present and you shed away the ego of, oh, maybe I'm going to get, like the superficial things of what may happen to you on a certain day, or all these expectations, that the answer is right in front of you and has always been in you. But it was a true awakening. And I never knew how to describe it, but this morning I woke up and I'm like, it was an awakening. So I invite you to think about that as well. If things come into your mind and you get these hunches, these moments, don't ignore them and don't take them for granted, and don't think that you know everything, because I thought, I knew everything. So this is something great. It's going to happen May 19th. And it did, but in a level that I never imagined. So I'm very grateful for that. Gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, and she is truly a rock star because she is in the middle of a road trip and she's taking time off in a grocery store parking lot to do this. And she has a companion, which I didn't know we were going to have a special guest, which I am so excited about. But but Shannon, a year ago, all these speakers, I didn't know. A year ago, most of you that are here that we've corresponded before, I didn't know. So it goes to show you need to trust the journey. Shannon, her vibe, her energy, her aura is just outstanding. It radiates in everything that she does. We've never actually had a one-on-one conversation, but we've been in similar groups and in similar sessions and events. And she is just full of positive power. And I am so grateful that Shannon, that you're here. And please, please, please introduce your special guest to us. Here's Shannon.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. That was a beautiful story, Andrea. This is my amazing dog, Penny. She's 12 years old, and she is the kindest dog and the sweetest dog that we have ever had. And I'm just completely in love with her. She's the best. Shall I go on with my story, Andrea? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. All right. So my name is Shannon Whittington, and I want you all to imagine for a moment going to work every day, having to hide who you are, having to hide how you express yourself. This exists for nearly 50% of LGBTQ plus people. We hide in the workplace as a gay woman, hide in the workplace. And let me tell you something, it feels yucky. It feels yucky. So when I first graduated from nursing school, I worked in Tennessee for a couple of years. Then I moved to Atlanta. And while there, we just lost our special guest. She decided she's not interested. While there, I fell in love with one of my coworkers who was a woman. Now, I grew up in Tennessee, the Bible Belt. Being gay is wrong. You know the story with that. I had a lot of shame around this, a lot of guilt, a lot of secrecy. I didn't want anybody to find out. I didn't want to be gay, honestly. I really wanted to be straight because it's just so much easier. And after I fell in love with my coworker, we started, I would go to her house and stay. She would come over to my house and stay, and we would go to work together. But we had to enter in separate entrances, couldn't eat together, leave separate exits, different times, didn't want anyone to know that we were riding together, didn't want anyone to find out that we were together. Just the secrecy of it. And it just got to where it was tormenting me inside, and I had so much shame around this because of my religious upbringing. It was a very tumultuous relationship, and I think people could sense stuff on the floor that we definitely had something going on because it was rocky, a very rocky road relationship. She was very confident in herself, older than me, wanted everyone to know, happy to be together. And I was the complete opposite. My family didn't know, no one. I had told like one of my friends that I thought I might be gay, but I wasn't really sure. And y'all, I'm talking about in my 30s. Okay. So we see these kids coming out 6, 7, 8 years old. I was in my 30s and still really not sure. And it just got to be so bad that I ran, I left. I left her, I left the city, I left the hospital, I left the state. To me, I was fleeing being gay. I was just going to move, and that was just going to be a chapter of my life, or as a lot of people would say, it's a phase. So I moved to New York, got a job at another hospital, started dating a guy. It was awful. And I couldn't figure out like why was it so awful? Because I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know any other gay women. And so I ended that, and I just made a decision that I was just going to be by myself because I didn't want to be gay, didn't want to be with guys. So I would just be by myself. So what do you think happened? I fell in love with another woman at the hospital. And again, had to hide it, couldn't tell anyone. Oh my God, it just got to be so hard. Until one day I said to myself, after having a long heart-to-heart conversation with my best friend who happened to be gay, and he said, Shannon, well, he said, boo-boo, honey, you're gay. And I was like, really? You think that's what it is? He's like, yeah, honey, 2 women, you're gay. So I had to start learning to accept myself. And I know that this probably isn't the story that you all were expecting on this show today, but Pride is coming up in June, the month of June here in the US, and we celebrate who we are. Some people like that and some people don't. And I'm not here to convert any of you, but I am here to alert all of you. And the alert is we're not going to go away. There's over 10 million of us in the US alone, which means that we are pretty much everywhere. We're in your organizations, we're in your playgrounds, we're in your communities, we're in your schools, we're in the Whole Foods. And yes, we're in your places of worship too. I'm a faith-based person. So I had to really learn to love myself and not be ashamed of who I was, because this is who I am. And wonderful things started to happen after I accepted me. I met a wonderful woman who's in the Whole Foods right now. She's probably going to come out here any minute. Tomorrow is our 22-year anniversary. Same woman, amazing. And once I met her, I wanted everyone to know because she was so awesome. So I told my mom and my sister, and my mom said, "That's your business. You ain't got to tell everybody. She seemed like she's nice to me. If it don't bother you, it don't bother me." And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. My mom's cool. And my sister said, "I don't understand it, but I accept it." That was cool. My friends didn't matter anymore. And suddenly my life just opened up. It's like I saw the heart in the sky, Andrea, the heart for myself, the love for myself and who I am as a person. That is why now I have made it my mission to teach organizations how to have LGBTQ inclusivity in the workplace. Going a little bit further, I teach nurses. I'm a clinical nurse educator. I teach nurses how to provide LGBTQ patient-centered care. Okay, let's take it one step further. I teach nurses, you want to get controversial here, how to take care of transgender patients after they have their various gender affirming surgeries, if they choose to do that, because we're not taught how to take care of them. And our organizations aren't taught how to embrace us. So that is my mission on this earth until I leave here, is to change how we are educated in healthcare and how we deliver healthcare to people in this population, gay population, and also in organizations, because we are everywhere. That's it, Andrea. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Oh my goodness, Shannon, that was incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much for that
I've never
story.
told that story, Andrea.
I'm so humbled and honored, and you have no idea how much it has touched me, and I'm sure others as well. And Shannon, with all due respect, I do want to say, when you're mentioning we're everywhere, you are one of us. We're all human. We're all heartbeats. So it's not us versus them versus whoever. It's we're all us.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's I don't see any difference whatsoever. Um,
that's beautiful. You know, we want the same thing that you want. We want to be able to be the best expression of ourselves.
right.
We're not asking for any extra treatment, just to be the best expression of ourselves and to be allowed to be who we are. You don't have to accept us or love us, but just at least be aware that we're here, and don't discriminate against us in hiring practices. Because I can tell you something, a lot of people on this call today have been touched by someone who is in this community. It's very hard to find a person that isn't. It's either their partner or their child or someone in their school or a distant cousin. My uncle jumped off the bridge and killed himself because he was gay. This happened when I was a kid. Do you know the name of the bridge that he jumped off of? The Gay Street Bridge. You don't believe me? Look it up. In Knoxville, Tennessee, there's the Gay Street Bridge. He jumped off the bridge. I was a teenager and I asked my mom, why did he do that? And my mom said, he was too pretty to be a boy, Shannon. And I just didn't understand that at the time. And now, of course, now I know. But that's just how bad it can be for some people.
Shannon.
She's joining back in, Andrea.
Oh, Shannon, your words are beautiful and your story is powerful. Thank you so much for taking the time. And something else that you said was you may have not expected this. This is a perfect story for this exactly. I mean, what I'm expecting is human moments. It's just about being human. So yes, it fits in and exactly what we're looking for. So I applaud you for having the courage, and I'm honored that you decided to share that with us today.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for having me. Did you say thank you? She says thank you.
I know you're about to leave, but does anyone have, I mean, we have a few moments. Does anyone have any comments or questions or anything that they want to say to Shannon?
Shannon, you might not have seen what I wrote in the chat. God is neither male nor female. In Native America, you are seen as one of the two-spirited, honored and special. We are all two-spirited.
Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you so much. Can you send me that comment, Andrea? That is so
Yes.
pretty. I love how that's so poetic too. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any comments before Shannon has to leave on her road?
John
Oh,
has a
John.
comment.
Ross, go ahead.
No, John.
John Roan. He's
Okay,
muted
John.
right now.
You're muted, John.
That it? Okay.
There you go.
Going through the same problems here. My son, our daughter now, is transgender. And I don't understand where all this hatred is coming on. He has friends who are transgender, and he's going through this. Of course, he's in his 30s. And she is a much happier person now. But comments, the vile comments, the hatred, I don't understand it. He breached the subject with us, and I said, Aaron, I said, whatever, we'll support you in whatever you need to do. I mean, this is a problem. This is your life, your decision, and we'll stand by you. But I said, I just want you to understand one thing. If Dad is with you and somebody starts some vile remarks, I'm going to kill them and end up in prison. So, please try to get some other friends with you, because I will not tolerate anybody saying anything bad against you or attacking you. And his friends are actually attacked. And it's really bad among Black transgender people. The murder rate is just way up there. Again, I don't understand this hatred. I don't understand the hatred against gay people. I don't understand this racism. It's just vile. And our country seems to be divided into all these compartments that they lash out, and it's cruel, it's vicious, it's sadistic. So, I can understand the situation much better now, but you learn as the years go on. This transgender situation is a very real thing.
Turn right on Paper Mill Drive.
It's it's a psychological transition that needs to be worked with, and we're just now understanding it. But you meet things like that with understanding and help. You don't meet it with hatred. And again, my last comment is I don't understand that.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you sharing.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time, Andrea, but we often fear what we don't understand. And this fear often leads to intolerance, which leads to disgust, which leads to often violence. We've already had about 14 murders already this year, 44, I think, last year, particularly, like John was saying, of Black and Latinx trans women. But you won't see a headline saying transgender murder solved. You'll see murder committed, but not solved. So there's a lot of work that has to be done. And that's why I've made it my mission to do as much as I can. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see that this is basically what I talk about a lot, in addition to simply being kind to each other. But I'm so glad that your daughter has you, John, because a lot of these kids end up homeless, and nearly 40% of them are trans. So continue to support and love your daughter.
I explained to her, I said, that is not going to happen. Whatever support you need, mom and daddy here, just, we're here to help. But I've met her friends, and they're really nice, sweet, gentle, smart people.
Your cell phone is still in the vehicle.
Look at, color. I don't look at what, people are people, you can't see the human soul. So you're blind when you talk to someone.
Yeah.
And it's very, to me, it's just incomprehensible. So I said, we're always here. I said, if things get rough, come home. We're always here.
We're lucky to have you, John. Russ, did you have a comment?
No, I'm just here to support the community. So I just wanted to let you know that John was waving his hand. If you
Turn
didn't
right
see
on
it.
Paper Mill Drive.
Oh, thank you, Russ.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Andrea, let me just say to Shannon, a big hug to you, and you know that you're my LinkedIn sister. So it's good to see you here today and to hear your voice, hear your message, and I'm here to encourage you in any way I can.
Oh, you're the best. You
Three-quarters
are
of a
the
mile.
best.
Exit
Thank you.
I-40 east, I-75
Thank you so
north,
much,
South
Shannon.
South.
Really appreciate you being here. Thanks for your story. Wow, what a start. Lovely, lovely start. Powerful. So Shannon is she's getting back to Tennessee from her road trip. Next, we go to Iowa, where where's Randy? There he is, Randy. Randy, again, I haven't ever spoken to Randy one-on-one, but oh my gosh, his work is amazing. I did have a chance to go into a podcast that you were in with Mr. Peter Clark, who's here too. It's so awesome that you're here, Peter. And Randy, first of all, his title is Chief Kindness Officer. What more could you ever want to be? So I aspire to be that too, Randy. And Randy is just so amazing in all the efforts that he does to promote kindness in the world as well. I know you have several initiatives, several communities. You promote personal and professional well-being. You have your own podcast. You're an author. Your aura is also one of those that is just contagious. So I'm so honored that you are here, Randy, and I can't wait to hear your story.
Oh, well, what a privilege and honor it is for me to be able to be here. And I just wanted to add something at the end. It's interesting. Just this morning, I was on a walk and I'm working hard to be kind to myself and exercising and trying to lose weight because I need to. And listening to a talk that David Brooks gave at my alma mater, it's Brigham Young University. And he talked that the whole conversation was about learning how to see people as human beings. We may or may not agree on everything. We may not agree politically. We may not agree religiously. We may not agree on a whole bunch of different things. But one thing we all ought to be able to agree on is that we're human beings and that we all have value. Every one of us here is good. Every one of us here has value, and every one of us here can make a difference. And regardless of whether or not we agree on everything else, if we can recognize those facts that we all have value and that we're important and that we can do great things, and then we can make a big difference with working towards finding the unity that we need to return to, because there's far too much disunity and incivility. I want you to think about when you were a teenager. Take yourselves back now to a time when something was important to you, and you were really concerned about what your friends were thinking about you. It's a vulnerable time when you're wondering, you're still trying to you're at that point where you're trying to figure out life, and you're concerned about what other people may think. It's a typical teenage thing. Well, when I was a teenager, that was a challenge I had. I was very concerned about what other people were thinking about me, far too concerned, truth be told. But it was an interesting time in my life because my father was a school teacher and he made some serious mistakes and ended up being prosecuted. And I had a paper route, and my I'd read the headlines and it was all over the news, and it was embarrassing. I mean, I knew everybody. It was my friends. Everybody knew what was going on. It was a small town. It's not a big town. It's just, I blame myself in some ways for the things that the choices he made, which was obviously was ridiculous because I had no control over the things he chose to do. It wasn't my responsibility to be his dad. He was the father. He was supposed to be the one taking responsibility for him. But needless to say, I didn't feel very good about myself. My self-esteem was not where it ought to be, and I really didn't like myself very much. But I was fortunately surrounded by good friends. And one of the stories I tell in my book, The Kindness Giver's Formula, is about a good friend of mine named, I'll call her Michelle. One day I had been chosen to be the class representative for my 8th grade class for the student council. And I'd been asked by the student body president to type up an agenda for the meeting. And I typed up the agenda, and I got to the meeting early, and I had made copies and cut up, everything and gotten it all ready to go and laid all the agendas out. And my friend Michelle, who was just this bubbly, vivacious, sweet, beautiful girl. She was a cheerleader. She was a kind of girl that a lot of guys would just, they'd get totally tongue-tied whenever she came in the rooms. You just try to talk to her and you could never get the words out of your mouth. But she was just, she wasn't arrogant or anything. She was a sweetheart. She was nice to everybody. And she comes bouncing into the room, typical Michelle, and picks up one of the papers, and she looks at it for a second, and then she looks up at me and she says, not in an unkind way, she just, kind of matter-of-factly, she says, well, did you know that you misspelled the word miscellaneous? And I looked at it, and inside I was just like, oh, crud. I just felt, and I felt so stupid. And the way I was feeling inside came through on what I said to her. I responded and I said to her, oh, no, I didn't. I guess you think I'm pretty stupid, huh? That's what I said. And that captured exactly how I felt about myself at the time. And the beautiful thing is she didn't skip a beat in responding. It's been, let's see, probably 36 years, 37 years since that experience, and I will never forget how she responded. She said to me, she looked me right in the eye, immediately said, oh, no, I don't. I think you're pretty neat. I had no idea at the time how much I needed to hear those words. I had no idea how much I needed to hear someone say, Randy, I think you're pretty neat. And it pierced me right to honestly, to my soul. It pierced my heart, pierced me right to my soul. And I started getting emotional, of course, being the macho teenager that I try to portray myself as anyway. I left the room really fast, and I ran down the hall, ran into the boys' bathroom, ran into a stall, and locked the door, and just sat there and cried. Because in my heart and in my mind, it's like I could hear a voice saying, I've been trying to tell you what she just told you, but you couldn't hear me. So I needed to use her. That experience reminded me, helping me to understand and recognize that someone thought I was neat, helped me to really understand that in my belief system, that God felt I was okay, that he felt I was pretty neat, and that I had value. And I look back on that experience, and have I struggled since then? Of course I have. I've had my ups and downs and things like that, but that sweet experience has come back to me more times than I can say to help me in times when I've been down on myself, because we all have those times, to think, you know, I may be going through a challenge right now or struggling right now, but somebody up there thinks I'm pretty neat, and I guess I must have something that I'm doing good, and there's a reason why I'm here. And one of the most beautiful things that we can do for anybody is to help them to realize and recognize and think about these things. I am good, I have value, I can make a difference. Every one of us, you know, we have heard of auctions. We hear of the auction, you know, you listen to the news and you hear of auctions of where something that is like a one-of-a-kind thing sells for millions of dollars, right? Or hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, just depending on what it was. Well, we don't, what I would ask you to do, and what I try to do, I'm really trying hard to do now, is when I hear about those things, is to stop and think, I'm one of a kind. I'm the only me there is. And every one of us can do the same thing. I'm the only me there is. I'm unique, I'm one of a kind, and therefore I am priceless. I'm priceless. My value is invaluable because I'm a human being. In my belief system, I believe I'm a child of God. I mean, that adds more power. I believe he's my father. I believe I'm his child. I believe I can do amazing things because of that. But whether you believe that or not, whatever your belief system is, if you remember that you have value because you're unique, you're one of a kind, and nobody can do you like you. Nobody can. And how many of you, I'm going to throw out there, how many of you ever struggled with negative self-talk? I'd be surprised if not everybody's raising their hands. We have all struggled with that. And the fact of the matter is, how many of us spend time with anybody else besides ourselves? We spend time with other people, but who is it that we cannot get away from? It's ourselves. We spend 100% of our time with ourselves. And so if we can't learn to get along with ourselves and to see ourselves as being good and as having value and of having the ability to make a difference, it's going to be really hard for us to be able to instill that or inspire that in other people. And so I guess my message today, you know, just to finish up, is just see yourself for the good human being that you are. And by being able to do that, your eyes will be open to be able to see others for the good human beings that they are. You may not agree with their gender identity or whatever. You may not agree with their religious values. You may not agree with their politics or whatever. But you can agree to disagree on those things and still love people. You can still care about people. You know, I have friends, we're on political spectrums that are like night and day, different. But you notice I said I still have friends. I have friends, they're my friends. And we've been able to agree to disagree, which seems to be almost becoming an extinct art. And I'm on a mission to remind people that by embracing kindness, by embracing behaviors that are conducive to building strong relationships, and remembering that being kind to ourselves leads to being kind to others, which leads to a kinder world, we can make a difference, and we can turn that around. We don't have to be us versus them. Even if we don't agree on things, we don't have to be us versus them. We may not see things eye to eye on everything. That's the beautiful thing about being human, is if we all saw everything the same way, I mean, we'd be a bunch of automatons, and it'd be just, I mean, life would be boring. Life would be boring. So the three I's, remember, I am good, I have value, I can make a difference. See ourselves as human beings, which will open our eyes to help us see others as humans. Thanks for having me, Andrea.
Beautiful words.
Did that
And
make any sense?
lots of sense. My notes are going crazy here. Yes, lots of sense. And something really struck a chord in me. I mean, lots of things, but one particular thing was you spend 100% of your time with yourself. So you can't get rid of that. You can't get rid of you. You're always there. So if you go by that saying, I don't know if it's you are who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with a negative self, then what does that do with how you come across with others? And that really, really, really awakened me in that. So I really appreciate those words and lots of things. So
Thank
any,
John wants to say something. I can
yes,
see
I
his
see
hand.
John. Hello, John. Go ahead, John.
You know, we are who we are, and we can't trade ourselves in on a new model. But we can darn sure remodel what we got. You know, I got this house. I'm not gonna get another one, but I can remodel the heck out of it, and I can do everything I can to make myself a better person. And I've been working on that my whole life. You know, I was born in a racist society. I've seen it from both sides. My dad was not, thank God. I had an anchor. But we get this indoctrination as we grow. And as we fight, we change, and then we finally mature. It's just a shame that we finally get so old and then we only got a few years left. But to make change, you don't have to change the course of the world. I've got this little deal I do. I always open the door for people. And I love to watch the look on their face. You know, you see somebody come in all grumpy and walking into Starbucks. Somebody walks in the door and, you know, they look like, boy, they just ready to chew on a two before. And you open the door for them and they look at you and all of a sudden they just kind of light up a little bit. And that's the change. And if you do that, if we'd all do that, open the door for the other person, I really think it'd be a ripple effect, and we'd reverse a lot of this negativity. I don't think we're going to single-handedly change everybody into being buddies, but I think we can work in small places and send somebody home with a better attitude. Walk into Walmart, somebody with a load of groceries, or walking through the parking lot, seeing somebody about to drop a bag, grab it for them and help them load it in the trunk. There's so many little things that we can do, but we work on ourselves. The old rock and roller Meatloaf says, we need to be happy with the clothes that God gave us. And I think, you know, you look in the mirror, you can't look in the mirror and say, oh, geez, boy, I wish I was Brad Pitt. You know, I just look in the mirror and say, wow, you know, I'm kind of happy with what I got. You know, I'm alive, I'm walking around, I got good health, I got dogs that love me, I got my wife that hasn't shot me yet today. And, you know, there's all these things. You remodel yourself, you improve yourself, you educate yourself. Yeah. And I think that's our goal. That should be everybody's mission. And to look at the other person. Diverse society. We have never been anything else but a diverse society. Look at colonial America. The only difference was there was no television and internet where we could start sniping at each other and bullying each other. But we've always been diverse, and we look at the richness of the other person, what they have to give. If you look at different groups and say, oh, I wish they'd just go away, but then you look at what they give. And, you know, I walk through the parking lot somewhere and I see a guy with a leaf blower. You know, I really want that job. You know, he's taking my leaf blower job, but feeding his family, he's taking care of his family, he's making money, he's a productive citizen. And I always walk up and say, hi, how you doing today? You know, boy, sure is hot. And you can see a little expression of change in their face. And it's treating everybody with dignity and respect. You know, open the door, say hello, you know, a friendly greeting. And I think that's the everyday change meeting. You can't sit around and wait for some big event. You can't say, okay, I'm going to plan to end world hunger. Ain't going to happen. But you can certainly give somebody a meal on a local level. So I think that's you got to start with your goals small and they stack up. It's like a house of cards. You build them up and you got to support it and keep it going.
You're in the middle of my screen right now. Everyone has different views, but you're like a ray of sunshine. You're like the sun, and you can see everyone's faces just light up when you're speaking. So I so appreciate you being here. And there has been a request that you need to come back another time and share your story as a speaker. So I don't know if you accept the challenge.
That'd be awesome.
But thank
Can I
you.
just add on to something that John said?
Yes.
You know, we can make a decision every day. We can determine to be kind. I mean, that's the first step in my kindness givers formula, is determined to be kind every day. Wake up and determined to be kind. And then, you know, think about and plan potential opportunities to be kind. You know, think about who you're going to be with, where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing. And then after that, go forward and look for and act on opportunities to be kind. You know, and John, like John pointed out, they're all around us. It's not hard to find kind little things that you can do. You can say hello, just in a friendly voice. You can smile. You can hold the door for somebody. You can make your bed. You know, if you're married or if you know, wherever you're at, you can make your bed. You can cook breakfast for somebody. You can leave a small note. I mean, there's just so many. The ways you can show a simple kindness are endless. And then, you know, and the beautiful thing is, and we've all experienced this, when we've been kind to someone, and more importantly, when someone has been kind to us, how does it make us feel inside? We feel great. And what do we want to do? It's contagious. We want to turn around and be kind to somebody else. We get that, what I call it, that pay it forward feeling. And we want to be kind to somebody else. And so then we turn around, we can invite and encourage other people to do the same thing. Invite and encourage other people to be kind. One thing that I am, I just gave you the 4 steps in my formula, by the way. Determine to be kind, think of and plan ways to be kind, look for and act on ways to be kind, and invite and encourage other people to do the same thing. And the 5th step that I'm adding as I'm revising my book to release Kindness Givers Formula 2.0 is reflect and record. Take time at the end of the day and reflect on experiences you've had with kindness that day. Kind of like a gratitude journal. I call this a kindness journal. And, you know, it could be your gratitude journal, but think about those experiences and write them down. Doesn't have to take, you know, it could be like 2 or 3 sentences, but I've come to learn that as I write things down, I engrave things on my heart a lot better than if I just, you know, let them, you know, have the experience and then don't record it. Because oftentimes I can go back and look at it and it'll trigger those feelings again. I see Melody's got her hand up, so I'm going to be quiet now.
Thank you guys for being so great at seeing people's hands. Melody.
My hand's up because I wanted to say, Randy, I agree with the girl at work. I think you're really neat.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Thank you, Melody.
You're welcome.
Beautiful
You have a great
story.
message to spread.
I hope.
You do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. Anything else for Randy?
Thank you to everybody for their kind words in the chat.
Yes, the chat is blowing up. Such great words there, Randy. I want to do something that I'm human, so I made a mistake earlier. I actually heard Randy on Russ's podcast, not Peter, but Peter also does amazing podcasts as well. I was listening to Russ's and Peter's podcasts last night, so I got those confused, but it may be, maybe it's something that I'm forecasting that Randy may be on Peter's podcast later. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I would love to
But-
be on Peter's podcast if I have the opportunity. It'd be a great honor.
But anyway, I'm so glad everyone's here. We have tons of rock stars here. Thank you, Randy. Thank you so much. Very inspiring words.
You're welcome, Andrea. Thank you again for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with a bunch of amazing people.
It's an honor to have you. Next we have Kate. Where's Kate? Kate. There's Kate. Hi, Kate.
I love
Kate. Again, I've never spoken to Kate one-on-one, but we're in similar groups. We're in the Humans First group, and which is, if you've been in my rallies before, one of the foundational groups that have given me the courage to follow my passion. And Kate gave this wonderful, uplifting presentation, in one of the Humans First calls. And it was something that she mentioned also about, self-doubt and being true to yourself, but also she has this wonderful gift of really getting into the spiritual and practical components of giving you the courage to find out who you are. And also I love she has like this color therapy psychology that she incorporates into her work, which was truly amazing. So Kate, it's so lovely to be for you to have you. And I can't wait to hear your story.
Oh, thank you so much, Andrea. That's such a beautiful introduction. And actually, you've inspired me. I mean, everyone here has, but your story that you shared, I think it was yesterday or the day before, on Instagram, where you were sharing, I don't know, I can't remember what all the sort of regular stuff was. And in the middle of it, you sort of say, I have anxiety. And it completely changed what I was going to share. Because initially when I thought, I was really excited about coming on and, it's a great honour, as others have said. And I had all these sort of, really easy things to share because I like people to feel good. But when you shared from your heart in that way, it really spoke to me and how important it is for us to go to that deeper level, which is kind of what I do in my work, but not necessarily sharing my own story. And so I thank you for that because it completely changed what I wanted to say. So when I was about 23, I suffered from depression and I kept working. But that was all I managed to do. So I was in a shared house at the time, renting, and the whole of the floor of my room was covered in stuff because it kind of represented the state of my mind. And I'd go to work, do what I needed to do, and then come back. And my mum regularly rang me, but my parents were living in a different country to me. I had just got this job, so I didn't really know anybody in the city I was living in. And my boyfriend had just ended our relationship, so it was sort of the final straw. Oh, and along with something else happening at work where someone came in and told me they were pregnant. And I didn't know how to help them. And, I did do something, but it was all these things sort of happened, and then I went down this sort of slippery slope, and I ended up for the only time in my life being a size 8, which I know that there are now people that are size 0, but for me that was small. And I had no periods for a period of about 6 months, and I slowly climbed out of that. And at the time, I vowed I would never go there again. And actually it's as I have grown older that I sort of understand what it was about, and why I do the work that I do now. Because it's not so much about the stuff necessarily around you. We grow and develop over time. So the first 7 years of our life is about our physical development. The second 7 are about our emotional development, and the third 7 are about it's roughly, about our intellectual or mental development. But here's the thing that you might not know: if something happens in the first 7 years, then there are echoes that repeat in the next 7 and then the next 7 after that at a similar time. And that's what I end up helping people with. And things are ancestral as well. So my mother has chronic IBS. She now has diverticulitis. And so that anxiety was passed down to me. So when I was at school, I used to do really well in assessments. I'd get like A's or whatever. But then when I did the exams, I never really achieved what I was predicted to achieve, because I had something which I think they now call performance anxiety. And it took me until I got to university to actually find a way to help myself to do better at exams and not to get so anxious, because I'd get so anxious I'd misread the question and answer the wrong question, or I wouldn't leave myself enough time to answer these various questions. And so that all of these things were happening, and then layered on all of that was the fact that what I realised as I got older and I read more and I studied more was I was abused in many different ways as a child. And some of that I blanked out until my 40s because I couldn't actually be with that information. And that was how I ended up getting into colour, as it happens, because I was training to be a colour practitioner. And this memory came flooding back in of when I was sexually abused. And I'd completely forgotten. And so now I tend to work with a lot of people that have been abused, especially in the time over lockdown. I've worked a lot with a lot of my one-to-one clients have been men, and often they've held things for 30 years. They haven't told anybody. They haven't felt they could trust anybody. And I think, you know, I share this not to bring the tone down, or, you know, but this is the reality that we live in, that we live with all these things and we don't always see what they are or what people are going through. But there's an upside to it, because some of the kindest people you'll meet are people that have had to tread through really difficult, tough stuff. And that gives them the compassion to be there for somebody else. So, and in my belief system, and I love the way you framed that, Randy, I believe that we chose our journeys. We chose what we wanted to experience in this lifetime before we were born. And that's the experience we've had. And that's part of our spiritual growth, because I believe we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And so, you know, for me, it's about, we create more meaning by unlocking our whole selves. And that's the truth of it. But sometimes we can't do that at purely a therapeutic or psychological way. You know, we need to look at things energetically, because we have 7 energetic bodies. I'm not about to go into all of that now, but that's the spiritual piece. So for example, I brought a couple of things to share with you, but here is, this is a really deep red spritzer. They're like perfumes. And it's called Ruby Red. And it's really good for healing ancestral issues, because sometimes we may even know what's in our family, you know, pattern and part, but it's not enough to just know and to resolve things. And as I said to you earlier on, there's been a lot of anxiety in my family. And now I have 2 teenage daughters, and one of them's been really affected by lockdown and started having panic attacks. And there's lots I could do to help, but I'm her mum, and it's not for me. She doesn't want me to have that role. And so we're now looking for other help elsewhere. And I think this is important as well, because often people in our profession that does this kind of work won't share that, because it looks like there's something wrong with them, that they failed as a parent. But you haven't, because these things are beyond the human. We live at the 3rd dimensional, 4th, 5th dimensional realities as well. And these are things that are coming through. So it comes back to those really simple, I don't mean to put it in a, you know, but things that you were sharing, your 4 steps, and that are known to be 5 now, Randy. And I talk about grace. And grace is an act of God. We can't will it into being through who we are, but we may experience it. But what we can choose is to be gracious with whatever shows up at our door every single day, and to see it like a ledger almost. So like, you know, accounts, sort of profit and loss, a balance sheet really. And almost to kind of do your own little thing each day, right? Well, how gracious was I today? How, you know, in your words, how kind was I to the people that crossed my path? Did I give them a reason to smile? Did I share something that might light their life up? But I think I share all these things as well because I believe that the cycle of life, or the circle of life, is light and dark. And we have to embrace all of it in order to be whole. We can't just talk about the good stuff, because we wouldn't know joy if we didn't know deep sadness. We really need to embrace our pain. Because so often what we do is we fill our days with stuff, you know, one-to-one meetings, this, or the importance of our work. The mantra I live by now is less is more. So it doesn't matter if I don't speak or people speak more than I do, because it's not only the words that we share, it's the energy we bring to a conversation and a situation. Now I feel so blessed to be here, you know, and to be doing the work that I do. I've recently set up a men's group, and men sitting in this group sharing about the pressure that they're in. So I feel they're a neglected part of our society. And that might sound bizarre in a patriarchy, but the truth of it is that there's lots of stuff out there for women, you know, and part of the journey for me is I'm quite a masculine female, believe it or not. I mean, I look like a woman, I know that. But I got told, don't, you're too bossy, you're too direct, you're too this, that, the other. And now I feel that it's the time to support the men. And I want to just share one more story, if I may, Andrea. I've been getting to know a man, and we agreed to go on a dog walk, because the beautiful thing about dogs, as we learnt through meeting Penny when Shannon was here, is actually they can raise your oxytocin levels. And if you follow my feed on Instagram or on LinkedIn, I often share pictures of Benji, our 15-week-old working Cocker Spaniel. So anyway, so I was meeting this man to go on a dog walk, and I turned up and he said, Sarah, are you ready? And I'm thinking, what? And anyway, his wife came with us, and I was so thrown, because we've had a couple of conversations and we'd started to get into a really deep place. And here's the reason why this work is so important, is that so many men are starved of intimacy, but then rather than embracing it, they're terrified of it. And so they go in the opposite direction from it. So we then had this sort of like three-legged, I mean, it was a joke on a way, you know, conversation, because we couldn't have the same deep connection that we'd had when we were three, that we'd had when we were two, as a three. So those are some rambling thoughts of mine. I hope that they're helpful. I wanted to share just two quick things on colour. You chose 19, Andrea, and this is the 19 bottle, which is called Buddhic Bliss. And you've got divine love over wisdom. So I really wanted to share that with you. And the spritzer that I've been spraying is the Buddha spray before I spoke, which I love, this sort of goldy orangey colour, because we had the festival of Wesak on Wednesday, when it was the super moon, which is the festival for Lord Buddha, the festival of illumination. So thank you for listening.
Kate, I am honored that you told your story here today. And I am humbled that what I said on LinkedIn, which was just a thought yesterday that I had, and on Instagram, that it touched you in that way. Thank you for sharing that. And I also wanted to let you know that I too have a teenage daughter that just like you, hasn't, like yours, has anxiety. She suffered for the first time major panic attacks during the COVID session. And we did have to get her some additional help. And now she's doing a lot better. And also she's also opening up more to me. But it was her that asked for help, which was amazing because I didn't want to force her into anything like I was forced when I was a child. Her being brave enough to do that, and me not, since I came from that place, not judging her for it, has brought us even closer. So I know how you're feeling, and definitely not a failure. In fact, it's the opposite. It's you are more close and bringing you together, and she needs your support right now by you accepting who she is. So thank you for sharing that and everything you've shared. You have lovely insights. Any comments for Kate? Jerry? You're on mute, Jerry.
You're still on mute.
I'm there.
There you go.
My hands shake when I get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I don't get nervous, I have this quiver. Part of being elderly. It's also about being so gracious when people are gracious enough to open doors for me or give me a hand so I can step up on a curb. I ask for help, and help is offered throughout my day. It is a wonderful thing, the kindness of strangers. And but what I wanted to say, as the mother of 3 sons, the sister of 2 brothers, and the grandmother of 5 grandsons, I truly support that idea that we women need to open our hearts. And I've been married for 60 years. And so we really need to open our hearts and to help men heal from this horrific generational, I don't know, how did it all start? I mean, there are all kinds of theories of male dominance that, or male role. It's ridiculous. We have to, work together. It's the only way to survive as a family and also as a universe. And I am so conscious of men's depression as I've watched sons, my husband and some of my grandsons go through really deep depressions, and right now I have a neighbor son that's beginning to accept his transness, as are his family. So has now become a girl, kind of a transitional girl's name. I want to speak, though, to this whole thing about women's sexuality. And, for years, I felt like I had this seed of vileness inside of me. And I am a curious person. So I talked about this. People didn't quite understand it, but I finally tracked it down to generational sexual abuse and the abuse of me by my grandfather, later to my father, but the hiding of it making my grandfather a god by my mother and her 3 sisters. And so it took me most of my life to figure this out. And then I had to remind myself, this seed of vileness is not about you. You know, it's been planted and it's been maintained by society, by my mother, by my aunts for many, many years. And so it's really nice to kind of be free of that, so I can put that aside. But now I'm in this caregiver role, and, you know, and it's like, for so long, you know, I just didn't have the energy to speak or write about this. And, you know, I was a storyteller. And so, and for a while, a teacher. And at a university, I was an adjunct in my later life. So now I'm opening it. I just, it's so good to find other people who have eyes to see and look within and without. And that's my comment. Thank you so much, Kate.
You're so welcome. And you know, the saying goes, as within, so without.
Thank you, Jerry. Shannon?
Hey, Kate, I just want to commend you in the work that you're doing with men. My business partner, Karen Markle, which some of you know, we've started a business called Confidence Rediscovered, primarily to work with initially women coming out of toxic situations. You know, that could be family, that could be work, that could be a spouse. And at the beginning, we talked about, you know, is this only going to be for women, or are we going to consider men? And I kind of told her, I said, well, let's focus on the women because they're more likely to want to talk about this. And I'm not sure how many guys have suffered from it. Well, since that day, a number of men have come through our paths to say, yeah, I've been a part of a toxic environment or relationship, whether that's a boss, a spouse, or as a child. And we've had to kind of refocus and say, okay, what we're going to offer in our program will be to both sexes and not just focus on the women, because there is a need for men to find healing, to find the ability to become confident in themselves, to do the things that they want to do, and, you know, be successful. Because like Randy said earlier, we're all unique individuals. We all have been given unique talents. And so learning how to use those talents and being confident in using those talents is what enables us to spread kindness and to touch others, and do some amazing things.
Well said, Stephen. Thank you for those words. Shannon?
Andrea, can I go ahead and speak? If Shannon is...
Yeah, she's still muted. Yes, Maxine, while she figures that out.
Oh, briefly, I just wanted to thank Kate for showing up with her feminine energy. And I wanted to commend you, Andrea, for just providing the platform, because the right people will always show up. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Maxine. It means a lot. No, there you go, Shannon.
Yeah, I'm not as cute, technology savvy as you. You're the whole reason I ever started social media. But anyhow, back in the day. I just wanted to share, like, since you shared about your daughter, and then I have other friends that have dealt, they're girls mostly, but they dealt with the anxiety and panic attacks. But when I found out about your daughter studying communication, I came up with a poem, which I think goes along with kindness. And I just was going to read it. I haven't done the painting yet. So the idea is the art of communication is made better when we use the key to success, which is kindness. So I kind of thought about like how we need to use all of our senses when expressing ourselves. So tasteful words, empathetic ear, sweet smile, humble hug, and a vibrant vision. And as far as like recovering past pain or hurt, until we deal with that, we really can't do anything to help others. And I think the way people react to one another, maybe some of it, the fear is that they're carrying that same pain and hurt and they haven't had the opportunity to express it. So, I mean, I've dealt with the recovery of trauma, and I've seen how it affects my family as a whole. And I think it's really hard, especially for like my dad and my brother. I think the protector defender comes out, and we kind of butt heads because I still have to deal with it on occasion, and they just want it to be done because they don't want to have to go deeper. So the whole idea of the male toxicity could very well just be that they've been hurt or pained in some way, and they've never dealt with it. Listening to different groups, like different sessions that you've had, Andrea, it's really saddening to see how a lot of people's anxiety, depression, other MIs. I definitely have PTSD, and the other labels, I just, the doctors basically have run out of labels for me. So I just consider myself special. And like, that's the story. But I feel like having been hospitalized, I've seen what different patients go through. And if you're already using other coping skills that aren't beneficial, until you get rid of that, you never get to the deep darkness or whatever that you're really trying to cover up. So, I could go on. I know Andrea's been trying to get me to share my paintings, and but it's really sad. We all have our ways of just dealing with the past, but we actually have to deal with the past. I just use the phrase. So that's all.
Shannon. Thank you so much, Shannon. Shannon and I go way back. We went to college together, and she is such a talented artist. And for you to support me through all the years, Shannon, really means a lot to me. And we definitely would love to hear your story another day, another rally, if you're up for it.
Okay.
Anything else? Deepak?
Kate, thank you for, first of all, starting that men's group. And Shannon, you also inspired me with the words you uttered. And Jir, I am also, Jiri, if I'm not pronouncing wrong, I'm also mother of one son and two stepsons. I have a brother, and I love my husband deeply. I love men. Men are good people, and it's so interesting that we as women are is easier for us to be vulnerable and share our stories than men, because I believe that they were not given the opportunity. And men, as you know, they say hurt people hurt. So if women are the ones who are getting abused more by men, we need to focus on men more to find out what is hurting them, for them to cause grievances on women. So we need to find out, we need to help them understand what is going on, why is this happening. And for that, they need our compassion, our understanding, our help. Both sexes, both genders have good people and bad people. It's not about your gender, it's about who you are. So we cannot say that women are always the ones who are being hurt by men. No, there are men hurt by women or other men. So I really commend you, Kate, for trying to help men and giving them an opportunity to express themselves, be who they are, and be vulnerable. I love men, I love women, I love people. We are all human beings. We are not men and human, men or women. We are all the same, pieces of the oneness. And you have been talking about third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, Kate. I also believe, it might sound weird to some of you, but I believe that we reincarnate. And what I believe is we come to this world until we find the best version, top version of ourselves. And when we are done, we are at the top level, we don't need to come back again because we become angels. And also I believe that I'm a woman this lifetime. I might be a man next time. I might be black. I might be a Chinese person. I might be anybody. So that's why I believe that we need to embrace everybody. We need to love everybody, be it men or women, because we might be in their shoes one day. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that is powerful. Wow. Ooh, that is really powerful. Thank you for all those wonderful thoughts. And thank you again, Kate. Not only what you shared, but for spurring such amazing dialogue.
Welcome.
Okay, we're ready. Oh, John, yes?
One quick thing, in the American West, I haven't heard the term in a long time, but they used to refer to young men as barbed wire boys. You repressed everything. You didn't show weakness. You didn't show emotion. You didn't tell a woman you loved her. That was emotional. You were above and aloof all that. You were tough. You were barbed wire, and I think that's a very troublesome situation for people to get into. It's been because sometimes you just got to let it out, and nothing gets. I watch movies on TV and boy, I kind of tear up, I can't help it, and my wife talks about watching Hallmark movies. Boy, I watched one the other night. Boy, I was sitting here snorting and sniffing. I told Carol, I said, boy, my sinuses are really bothering me here, It just, it was so emotional because these people, they were going through this trauma and everything came out all right. And oh, I was so happy about that. And I think that is the antithesis of that barbed wire generation. And my dad was part of that to some extent. He loosened up as he got older, but you know, he had a certain toughness and strength and solidarity to him. And I really believe my dad was not a happy person. I don't think he was joyous. He'd loosen up and he'd kind of like, you could watch him, he'd kind of like catch himself and he'd say, oops, you know, slipping, gotta get the facade back, you know. And I think that's a bad thing. You know, we see our soldiers come back from the war, and PTSD is a real thing. The more trauma you have, what saved me in Vietnam or Thailand, where I was I was 26 years old when I went in the Army. I wasn't 18. And that extra 8 years gave me a lot of education and armor that brought me through the things that I did and the things that I saw. And, you know, you just got to, when you're nurturing a teenager, you really got to be very careful, and they just need a lot of guidance to keep them from being hamstrung in their emotions when they get older, because that leads to the problems that you can't express yourself. You can't ask for help. And that's a big thing, you know, among the military and among the law enforcement. You just didn't dare go to a psychiatrist. Oh my God, just to have somebody to talk to, because you certainly couldn't talk to your buddies because they'd laugh at you. And your wife had her own problems because she was putting up with you all tight, you know, and suffering stress and trauma. So this whole thing of just letting go and loosening up and letting your emotions come out, and you feel better for it. Just like being kind to someone, you just say, gee, that really felt good. Then you do it again. And that person says, guys, that really felt great. He was kind. They go do it to somebody else. You know, it's like COVID. Everybody catches it and it just becomes a pain. So I think that's what we need to work for.
Yes. Thank you, John. Thanks for those additional insights. We are ready to move to Melody. Hi, Melody.
Hello.
My dogs, they're excited to hear Melody as well.
Well, we have dogs here too, so hopefully they won't interrupt. I'm hoping.
They do.
Kids too.
No problem at all. Melody is very special to me. Lots of people are very special to me, but we've never actually, now that I think about it, we've never actually had a one-on-one Melody, but we've been involved in so many of the same conversations and groups. And one in particular is the Stephen DeSadis Soul Shifters group, which is another one of those groups that has been foundational and incredible to help me in my awakening of my true self. So Melody is a constant in that group. She also helps with the second season of the Inspiring Insights show, which we just launched, hosting with Stephen Sadie on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central. So it's been an amazing journey. And Melody she's affectionately called the Guru Lady because I think her insights are incredible. It's like she has the universe speaking to her, and her messages are really impactful. And I hope you know how much I look up to you, Melody. So I'm so honored to have you here.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me here, because this means so much to me. So much. This is a big step for me. And I'm going to explain to everybody why. Because life is about taking the biggest challenges you've had, learning from them, and helping other people with them. Somebody who's hit rock bottom, literally, somebody who is sitting in the gutter on the street as a drug addict, just means that at some point in their life, by choices they could make, could be an inspiration to all the others. So everybody's challenges, no matter what they are, can be an inspiration for others, can help others climb out of those problems. That's how we're all in this together. We really are. And there's gold nuggets everywhere. So the challenges I've had, have actually, when you said anxiety on your thing, it was like, pop, she's right about that. I grew up as a child with such health issues and so dorky and didn't like the way I looked, but I was the biggest burden my parents had. I knew it. And my mother and I, knowing it both, created some serious trouble between us. And I didn't feel that love. So I grew up believing I was just a burden. I was unlovable. And then as an adult, I had traumas that I call me and my counselor call my pancake pile of traumas. And they're not little ones, they're big ones, like from having a young child hit by a motorcycle and being broken from head to toe. And God got me through this, got her through that. The people from my church got us through that. You would never know it by her today. And they had no explanation how she managed. But I started a prayer chain immediately. I asked God before we got into the ambulance that day, please, God, I know she's yours and you can take her if you want her. But I ask you, please let me finish raising her. And that was my take on all of that, because everything in life that you struggle with is something that can inspire other people. And she does. As a later on, one of the other traumas was having a husband who was bipolar that went manic. And I took off one weekend because I knew I was close to seeing death in the face. So I left, I hid. He got angry because he planned on taking us both out that weekend. At work, I had a friend that I had told what was going on. I came back after that, spent a couple of days, still working. And then the weekend came up. And before I left work that day, my thoughts were, I'm not going to survive this weekend to come back next weekend. So the people that I knew, I would let them know just how much they meant to me, because tomorrow's never promised. And that whole weekend, instead of focusing on how's he going to do it, what's he going to do, my focus was, if I went to the store, what can I say to make this person later on when they hear about what happened? Because you know how the news is. Will they say, oh yeah, I saw her yesterday, she was really sweet, or she made me feel good with what she said to me, thanking the cashier for the job she does that serves us. So that was my focus. But at that point, he took himself out without me the day I was supposed to go back to work. So I had to go to the office instead of going into my shift and let them know what happened so I could take bereavement, because there was no way I could work that night. He hung himself. When I walked, because my shift started at 7 at night. When I walked in afterwards to my shift to tell my boss, it was about 8:30. So I was already late. And the girl that I had told saw me and dropped to her knees and said, oh my God, I thought you were gone when you didn't show up. So that's just, we're supposed to pass our struggles on along so I can show you why I have PTSD and anxiety. And after that, there were others that I have a pancake pile. Those are just two. So I am in counseling for it, because if you need help, get help, please get help. So I started getting the help. I have a counselor. I started with Clubhouse International, which is not the clubhouse that people talk on, but it's for mental health, for mental illness, and it's worldwide. And That is something that can really help people. So if you have any serious mental health issues, look it up. Just see if there's one in your area. It helps, but everything is work. Everything is a step. And then I was given the opportunity through one of the old other soul shifters, Sarah Kawamara. I had been following her on LinkedIn, and she was giving us challenges, which I'll talk about in a little while. But I watched her on Stephen's show, Inspiring Insights, and to support her. And I was like, wow, this is really a great show. It's to ask a question of what you struggle with to help other people. He gives you the answer for yourself and for other people. So after hers, they invited me to the show, and I was at fear level up here. I hate the way I look. I hate the way I sound. Well, no, I hated the way I looked, the way I sounded. And they were asking me to come on a live show. So, okay, if I'm going to do this, because I did say, yes, I'd be honored. If I'm going to do this, what can I ask that will go above how I feel I look or sound? Because I'm going to pick it apart when I'm done. And I'm like, okay, other people worry about how they look, how they sound. Everybody struggles with that at one time or another. So I was like, that can be my question. So I got on there and I couldn't breathe. I was literally, the anxiety way up here. And Peter told me in the beginning, it's okay, you're in a safe place. Yeah, you don't understand. I have anxiety and PTSD. So doing this on camera live, scary thing for me. I was afraid I was going to start crying, freeze up, not be able to talk live, which is what this is. But I did it because I wanted to help other people, not just myself, because even though I was a writer, I was starting to get these requests for me to do things. And it's like, no, I want to be behind my pen. I don't want to do that. But what if? So I did it. I felt good after doing that. And it shifted me. It really did. His telling me the advice was, that's your ego talking to keep you protected. Tell it, okay, I know. That's okay. I'm going to do it anyway. And Brene Brown, hang on, I did take notes. Brene Brown's biggest quote is, vulnerability is showing up and being seen when there are no guarantees. And this show is about showing everybody our vulnerabilities. So I started doing things after that. I started watching YouTube motivational stuff, including Brene Brown. If nobody's seen her, well, I can't say nobody. If any of you have not seen her yet, look her up. She is amazing, and you will relate to her. And Stephen, same thing, because one of Stephen's biggest quotes is, your life will contract or expand based on your courage. And everything I do that is scary, that is out of my comfort zone, I fall to that because it's true. If I want my life to go forward, because before that show, I was like, how do I do this? How do I live? I can't do this. And I wanted more than that. I knew I had something to give others, because my mission is to make others know they matter. We all have a purpose. We all have dreams. And we all matter, because everyone can use their struggles to inspire others, to make other people say, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. Because everybody does matter. And when you said that your day I spent yesterday looking for something that I wrote because of one of Sarah's challenges. She said to tape yourself doing a love letter to yourself and listen to it every day. And I'm like, no, I can't do that because I don't feel that way. And I'm not going to do something that's not really how I feel. So at first I was, but her challenges were really good and they helped me grow. So I was like, all right, I'll wait until I'm just in the right vibe, the right moment, and I'll write it down instead. Then I don't have to hear my voice. That's what I thought. So I wrote it down and I cried while I wrote it and I put it aside. I didn't read it every day. I didn't do any of that. I put it aside. A couple of weeks later, I read it to my counselor, which for me was big. And I cried reading it to her. And it's something I want to read to all of you because my challenge to you today is that you are able to do it for yourselves. Because I don't want to just give you hope and kindness for other people. I want you to give it to yourselves. To yourselves. But there was one point I wanted to make that I'm skipping, so I don't want to skip it. I changed my morning routine. Instead of waking up, hitting the snooze button over and over and thinking, oh God, it's a struggle to get up. I wake up every day and say thank you to God for giving me one more day, because even when I was thinking that weekend that I might not make it through the weekend, this is one more day. I got one more day. Tomorrow I might not be here, but today he gave me one more day. So I wake up and I thank him. And then I say to him, show me what you want me to see. Show me what you want me to hear. And show me how you want me to help. Your invitation to this was a major one in that. So I'm going to leave you all with my letter to myself, inspired by Sarah Kawamura. I hope I said that right, Sarah. So I labeled it to me. Okay, let's do this. I have always listened to that obnoxious voice in my head when she cuts me down. No more. I will see you, and I am proud of you. The challenges you have faced have been many. You got through them. You didn't quit. Yes, you made mistakes, but we all do. And you grew from them. You faced death in the eyes, literally, more than once and survived. God hasn't let you die because you have a purpose. You have fine-tuned your ambitions to make him proud, and I know he smiles on that. He has called on you to do things out of your comfort zone, and you have accepted them through your fear. You have courage that is growing every day. I love that he has given you the strength to face your insecurities by not hiding behind your pen. Yes, your writing is your talent, but you need a presence, and you are accepting that come what may. You are becoming a leader. I know, right? Never thought I'd want that. But not by asking them to follow me, but by encouraging them to follow themselves and believe in themselves. You need to believe what you say for yourself. You matter. Go after your dreams. I love you. And I hope everybody can take away from that they matter. All of you matter. Thank you, everyone.
Melody, you're amazing. I love you, and that was incredible. That was just simply incredible. I'm so honored to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the gift of you today.
You've given it to us all with what you do. And thank you, Stephen, because you changed my life. And I know the sky's the limit.
Thank you, Melody.
Beautifully said, Melody.
Thank you.
Goodness, I couldn't have asked for a more powerful 1-year anniversary rally today, and it's because of you guys. I know we're heading in the hour, but we have one more amazing speaker coming up, and I want people to also, if they have any comments for Melody. I will ask if we can give some time for our speaker, and then for those of you that can stay and want to wish more comments, we can do that. Does that sound okay? Oh. Thank you, Melody. Bless you. Russ.
Andrea, hi, Andrea. It's Peter. Just for a second, I'm just wondering. Hi, how are you? I'm so sorry. You just basically said what you needed to do to move on.
No, go ahead.
As you know, I'm going to do something live in 10 minutes myself. I just wanted to say hi to Melody, and I remember the very, very first time I ever saw you on camera, and we chatted backstage and blah blah blah. And you're a rock star then, you're a rock star now. That Boston accent is going to win everybody all the time, all day long. You are a rock star, and I'm so proud of watching your journey. I remember the very first day I saw you, and she's absolutely right, everybody. She was literally hyperventilating, talking to me, and we weren't even live yet. And gosh, my empathy kicked in, and I felt it. And but at the same time, you picked up on the idea that you were in a safe space. So when you're in a safe space, like what you do, Andrea, create a safe space for everybody. People just resonate with that, and it's easy to breathe and dream and find space for yourself when someone gives you that. So Melody, I just want to say, listen, you are still a rock star. I haven't seen you for such a long time. I want you big smile just like that, because I remember, again, it was just unreal. She went from literally hyperventilating to jumping on camera and knowing that she had a bigger mission and vision for herself. And that's what you did. So just that alone changed someone's life, and will continue to do that. So walk this earth knowing you've done something amazing just by being. So thank you for sharing your story. And Andrea, thank you so much. I apologize for jumping in on the next person's time.
Thank you.
Honored to have you, Peter.
Cheers.
Peter was one of the hosts for the show when Melody was on. So he's amazing if you don't follow him. And actually, I'm going to, right after this, I'm going to his show on Clubhouse. So I invite you guys to go there as well. Check out his LinkedIn profile, and you can find more information. Thank you so much for being here, Peter. Russ, I also have not had a one-on-one yet, but oh my goodness, he has so many recommendations from so many of my friends, and his work is just amazing, super amazing in everything that he does. I love his brand. I love what he represents. He has this pirate broadcast syndicate, that very, very successful show. And just, I love his phrase, kindness is cool. I mean, how can you not like someone that repeatedly says that? So I'm so blessed to have you here, Russ, and to learn more about you.
Well, thank you, Andrea. And I'm absolutely humbled to be here. And I know a few people in the room. Stephen is a pirate, Randy is a pirate, Terry is a pirate. And these are people that have been humbled and, humble me, and have encouraged everyone around them to take action and do something positive. And right now, I just want to take a moment and just thank everyone for the time, effort, and energy for you being here right now and experiencing this moment. And just take a deep breath and realize that you are special. And I've been sharing this for years, decades, that everyone has a gift, everyone has a message, and everyone has a purpose. And both faith and fear require us to believe in something we cannot see. And I have been so fortunate, so blessed, so lucky to have all of the experiences in my life that allow me to see both sides of the equation, to experience it. And I've been homeless. I've been in high tech. I've been a farmer. I've been a firefighter. I've been a musician, and I've been in ICU. In all rights, I should not be here. And as somebody mentioned earlier, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. And every day when I get up and I feel my aches and pains from all the broken bones I've experienced in my life, I recognize that it's a gift because I am here. And I will continue to express my gratitude for those around me doing great work like yourselves. And tragedy is no stranger. Those that know my story, I lost a son to suicide. I was second of 6 kids in a normal everyday family. I've lost 2 sisters. I grew up, I was in a fight almost every day in the 5th grade because I was an advocate for people that had less and were being picked on. So all of these experiences along our journey add to who we become, who we are. And the trauma and the trials and the circumstances that we live with, we all have a decision that we have to either learn from that experience and understand what it does for our story. And like Melody said, get behind the pen, I believe that we're all writing our chapters of the book of life and how we can actually maneuver through this thing we call life. And now I find myself in a situation and an opportunity to be a caregiver. I moved to Arizona to be a caregiver for my parents. Dad passed last year. And right after his memorial, I broke my hip. And so all of these experiences lead up to the opportunity to share that with the idea and the concept that you can open doors for people. You can go in line and order free smiles and make someone happy and be the reason that they're smiling, be the cause of something that you can actually make a small, tiny impact and have a ripple effect on someone's life, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what others are suffering through. And I just really encourage everyone to think about the idea that we have an opportunity to make it matter. And I've been promoting kindness is cool and smiles are free. And I tell a story about the idea that when I was sitting in ICU, one day I was a musician and the next day I was in ICU, and my thought process was, holy cow, I'm still alive. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. And there's another gentleman across the hall that had an injury and possible amputation, just like myself. And he was on suicide watch. And it struck me as something that was very, very different and unique, because we all can see through a lens of our experience. We're all anchored to our experience, and the fear of what is going to go forward can impact that experience and how we think about where we are and what we're doing. However, I encourage you to think about the same thing. Use that pain and use that experience and that trauma and everything else as fuel to create a better future. Because if we believe that we have the opportunity and ability to change our lives and make new decisions, and like John mentioned, we can remodel who we are. We're doing it every day. And when you're helping someone else, it's a little more challenging to feel sorry for yourself. When you're smiling at someone and laughing and enjoying life, it's hard to feel depressed. And right now, my sister suffers from depression. She suffers from bipolar. We're trying to get her in a place where she's safe. And so this is real world experience. This is personal experience for myself. And I know what it is, having lost a son to suicide, having lost an uncle to suicide, having lost friends and family to suicide. Mental health is something that we need to be aware of. And being, a son in a household of sisters, I have a lot of empathy for all kinds of people in my life. I love the diversity. I love the ability, and I'm always curious to see, how did you come up with that idea? How are you thinking about that process? And that's what the Pirate Broadcast is about. Interesting people doing interesting things, and unpacking some of those ideas and those concepts, and understanding how people got to the idea and their process and where they are today. And it's really about the idea that we all have a purpose, we all have a gift, and we all have a message. And we just have to have the strength and the ability and the opportunity to share that gift. Because just like standing in line at the grocery store, there's somebody in front of you and there might be somebody behind you. And if you can offer some assistance and encourage someone that needs it, or receive it from somebody that has already experienced that, we're all here together. We're all human, and we're all going through this human experience. We're all flying through the universe in the same rock, the same ability to see and understand when we choose to see and understand. And yes, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And that's on purpose. And it's a choice. And we all have an opportunity to make that choice every single day. Wake up with gratitude. Focus on what we have rather than what we don't have. Been at the bottom, been at the top, been everywhere in between. And it's really a wealth of experience that allows me to imagine there are always alternatives. There's always decisions we can make. And it's not always easy, because sometimes we believe in fear more than faith. And if you're out there and you're in a challenging situation, you're in a challenging circumstance, I encourage you to reach out, ask for help. And I know for some it's very difficult. Shame, guilt, all the burdens, all the anchors. What are you carrying around that is holding you back and not allowing you to see your better self? What are you holding on to that isn't allowing you to be better for others? I encourage you to think about how you can do something, even small incremental steps, to write a new page in the book of life and help someone, encourage someone. And I know this community here that you've developed and you continue to grow, is we're all hurting at some point in time. We're all in need of help. We're not barbed wire boys. We're not impervious to pain. And we all have an opportunity and an ability to open up, understand, be willing to hear what other people are doing, amplify the we, amplify the idea that we are all in this together, and we have an opportunity and the ability to help each other out. And I just want to thank everyone here. I'm humbled. I'm encouraged, and I know that I have many more things in my future, and I'm looking forward to every day getting up and doing something positive in my day. And I encourage us all to work together to do something for everyone. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I know we have limits on our time, and I just want to make sure that we're all thinking about something positive today.
Wow, Russ, that I couldn't have asked for a better finale for the rally. Lots of, if you haven't checked out the chat, please check it out. Lots of people have been inspired by your words, Russ. And I, of course, didn't know your story, and it's true. You don't know what people have been through, but everyone has been through something, and you never realize how you can affect them and impact them. So I'm so honored that you've been here, Russ, and I hope to become a pirate someday soon. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I know we're a bit over, but oh my gosh, so many powerful stories, so many great insights. If you have to leave, I understand, but I do want to open it up if anyone has any comments for Russ or Melody at this point. Yes, go ahead. Who was it? Jennifer, Linda? I think Linda said bye. Jennifer? Oh, you're saying bye? Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye to all the speakers. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wonderful stories. I hope to see you again every last Saturday of the month. Grateful for you guys. Have a blessed weekend.